Thursday, September 11th. It'll be a meaningful evening, honoring those who have served and sacrificed. We at WMBS will be doing a live broadcast from 5 to 7 o'clock. And there'll be live music at 5:30 from Fret Buzz, featuring a special focus on songs that celebrate and honor our country, with a special tribute to service members, veterans, and first responders. And don't miss out on the gift basket raffle. Bring your family and friends, and we'll see you there.
Attention, active and retired coal miners. Have you been screened for black lung? Here at the Black Lung Clinic at Centerville Clinics, we offer yearly screenings, diagnosis, education, and treatment options to help you live a fuller, healthier life. We provide care regardless of your ability to pay. Call Centerville Clinics today at 724-632-6801. Do it today.
Hi, this is Dave Dunaway, and I'm here to remind you that Franco's Golf Center is open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by and see Franco's facility on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Franco's service area includes a lighted driving range and golf pro shop. Even my game has improved thanks to golf lessons with Franco's PGA instructors. Franco's also offers full custom club fitting and repairs by certified club fitter Greg Franco. Franco's is open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Give Franco's a call at 724-438-6651.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
Your local station, 590 WMBS.
I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the voice of reason, Dave Dunaway. It's Thursday, September 11th, 2025, and you're listening to The Sports Voice. Well, your Pittsburgh Steelers are 1-0. I guess the big question is, are you excited about that? Was the win definitive enough against the New York Jets for you to say, yes, this is a team that could potentially not only go to the playoffs, but actually win there, something that hasn't happened in the last 8 years. The good news, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense managed to score 34 points. The bad news, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense managed to give up 32 points to the New York Jets, who are not exactly looked at as an offensive juggernaut. So where are the Steelers at this point? Well, they looked flat, first of all, which is not a huge surprise based on how many people did not play in the preseason. Listening to the so-called experts speak all week, you would have thought Aaron Rodgers threw for about 50 yards. I'm going to tell you right now, he's the only reason the Pittsburgh Steelers won that game. If you would have had Russell Wilson or Justin Fields or Mason Rudolph or some other quarterback in there, the Pittsburgh Steelers would have lost probably handedly to the New York Jets, because that's how bad that old overpaid defense was in the first game. And they'll blame it on injuries. Joey Porter left the game. Deshaun Elliott left the game. But in the end, that was the least of their problems. There was no pass rush. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop Justin Fields. And as far as the man coverage, good luck with that, because there's nobody out there, Porter and Elliott included, who are going to be able to cover legitimate wide receivers one-on-one. The Jets only have one legitimate wide receiver, and they had a hard time with him. Imagine what's going to happen when they play a real team with real talent. It's going to look like a playoff game. They probably will give up 40-plus points. They almost did that in week one. against the New York Jets. But I know, don't panic. It's just the first week. They've got Seattle coming to town this week. The third coming of Sam Darnold, which looks like the first coming of Sam Darnold. Boy, did he look bad without Kevin O'Connell coaching him up. This should be a game that is easy to handle, but based on the Seahawks defense, primarily the pass rush, I'll bet it won't be, because the Steeler offensive line, which I said is going to be the biggest concern for the offense this year, was a huge concern, led by Broderick Jones, who looks like the last place he belongs is on an NFL football field. So trying to protect Aaron Rodgers, he took some pretty big hits in that game. And one other area to be concerned with, Rodgers doesn't like to throw the ball into, sort of throw it away out of bounds. So I could see Aaron Rodgers throwing it downfield into who knows what sort of coverage while he's being pursued, which could lead to major issues as well. In the end, yes, the Steelers are 1-0, but does it feel like 1-0, or does it feel like more of the same? Rodgers play action, there was some stuff that I was sort of happy to see, but in the end, I don't even think Aaron Rodgers, a sure bet first ballot Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champ, can save this poor coaching of the Pittsburgh Steelers season. We'll get back to them in a little bit. There's some other stories out there. The Pittsburgh Pirates lost again today, 3-2 this afternoon to the Baltimore Orioles. That's the second straight sweep they've been a part of. 6 in a row dropped by your Pirates, who continue to dwell in last place. Thinking about positives and negatives, I see they have Paul Skeens on a pitch count. Well, why not? They're in last place and it's September. I don't blame them. I don't know what they're saving him for. Last place next year, maybe. But in the end, Paul Skeens eclipses 200 strikeouts. Congratulations to him. And continues to be the ERA leader in Major League Baseball. Great performance last night, yielding no runs given up, and still doesn't get a win. So, in the end, the Pirates are what they are. They don't want to pay anybody on offense. Their offense is horrendous. I can't imagine any of that changing. The two 28-year-old rookies they traded for look horrible. I mean, in the end, it's just more of the same for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And people wonder why I'm on here constantly bashing them and why no one can seem to get excited for any length of time about this team. I think Donnie Kelly's done well. There's only so much he can do with the garbage that's around him, and you can blame both Ben Cherington and Derek Shelton for a lot of the misgivings and issues that we see on this Pittsburgh Pirate team. First and foremost, the most overrated person I've ever seen, probably in the history of the city, O'Neal Cruz, who also looks like he belongs anywhere besides a pro field and stadium. He looks so bad offensively. We know how bad he is defensively. Just an absolute mess. And he's eligible for arbitration. That ought to be fun next year, because there's maybe the one guy in MLB that'll lose his arbitration hearing. Can you imagine how angry he's going to be when he's not getting a raise next year? If the Pirates are smart, they'll throw out less than what he's making right now and see whether or not the arbitrator agrees. A lot of stir created around the Pittsburgh Penguins this week. Apparently, the agent for Sidney Crosby has hinted at the fact that maybe the best thing for Sid right now in his career would be for the Penguins to trade him. That's the first we've really ever spoken of that. Everyone just assumed Crosby would retire a Penguin. Will that be the case? I mean, the agent's not going to say it if the client's not thinking it. So a lot going into probably people's hearts and minds right now, trying to figure out how much longer Sidney Crosby could be potentially wearing a Pittsburgh Penguin uniform, still under contract for a couple of years. But then you start to wonder, what will life look like after Sidney Crosby? He's been a Penguin since 2005. In the end, is it good or bad for the organization? Well, you probably get 3 first-round picks for him, especially based on his $8.7 million salary. You could get, I would assume, whatever you want at that particular case. It would definitely hasten the rebuild that looks like it's not coming this year. But you lose an icon. Arguably the second best player ever in the history of this franchise behind Mario Lemieux. There's no good way to look at it, really. It helps for him to stick around just for the fan base. It helps for them to trade him just for the future. But in the end, I don't think it's something that a lot of Penguin fans want to think about or look ahead to in the long run. And college football, all of the locals got to play a bunch of nobodies, and West Virginia managed to lose to one of them, Ohio University. So the backyard brawl, not nearly as glorious as everyone thought it was going to be. I heard ESPN was going to come to Morgantown to do game day and then pulled out after the upset loss West Virginia suffered. So Rich Rod, a little tough sailing early on in this go-around for West Virginia. But don't worry, when he gets all of his own players, things will change, I'm sure, as he'll tell you. I believe the reason they lost was based on one of his players that he brought in who made mistake after mistake. But it's okay. Penn State hasn't covered a spread yet this year against two nobodies. And, well, then there's Pitt, who gets overly excited over playing Duquesne. They might as well just schedule. Does Carlo have a team? How about Point Park? Can they play schools like that? Might as well just play everyone they can in the city and go from there. So a lot ahead, a lot of football. This is that time of year. We made our picks for the first week. Those were posted to the WNBS Facebook page a couple of days ago. I believe Josh and Matt tied for first at 8-8. TJ and I are right behind at 7-9. Well, that's bad. We're talking now it's like the Pirates, 500. That's what we try to achieve. Try to get to 500 and we're good to go. So hopefully a better week of picking that actually makes someone here at the station look like they know what they're talking about. Hopefully we can get someone over 500. It's a lot more difficult when you pick with the spread, as we found out toward the end of last year. So hopefully everybody, after getting a week under their belt, and the first week is always chaos. You never know exactly what's going to happen in that first week. Hopefully we will manage to do a little better this week. So we'll do our recap from week 1. We'll do our look ahead to week 2. We'll do our picks of the week. A lot to come on this week's edition of The Sports Voice. Also, trade rumors swirling around Tyreek Hill and whether or not he'll become a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are also charges pending on domestic violence, so I wonder, will the Steelers think they can get him for less before or after he's actually arrested for that? So just a bunch of nonsense that you hear, and that's football season. 1 week, somebody doesn't do well and you're already looking for the replacement. The first week is always the hardest because you have nothing else to base it off of outside of maybe what happened last year. We'll start off talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New York Jets. That was the game of the week last week because it was on at prime time, 1 p.m. And I know a lot of Steeler fans were hoping, or at least thinking, that there was going to be a better result than a 2-point win. Now, it is a win, and the offense scored 34 points. And if I'd have told you that prior to the game, you probably would have said, I'll take that in a heartbeat. I don't think anyone was expecting the New York Jets to score 32. That's where the issue comes in. And when you start to look ahead at the schedule and you start to look ahead at much better offenses than what was faced in week 1, then you start to wonder, will we be able to score 34 points against their defense? And will we be able to handle that offense and only give up 32? Because as we know in the playoffs, the Steelers normally give up 40 or more. So looking at a defense that's older and slower than it was last year, and the new additions are older and slower than the players that left, you start to have a little bit of concern. And honestly, I blame the reason that this game was close is the defense. It's Mike Tomlin running the defense, as is really starting to get officially confirmed now. In the past, we just said it because we knew it, but no one in the local hack media would admit it. Now people are starting to admit it. I think the patience running out with this same defense that's been put out there through the entire tenure of Mike Tomlin's career. Really? You didn't believe that every defensive coordinator that was hired had the exact same defensive scheme? I mean, it never looks any different because there's one man running it. And the same thing with the offense. I mean, Tomlin dictates what's run on the offense. At least he finally found a quarterback that he trusts a little bit to audible at the line. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Rodgers is at the line, then says a few things and players move. I'm like, oh, I didn't think they were allowed to do that. But at least Aaron Rodgers is taking some ownership. And I'm still just shocked at the fact that people said he had a bad game. He had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, threw for over 240. I mean, he won the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He won the game, and the defense almost lost the game. And you know what I think of Aaron Rodgers. If I'm going to sit here and say he won the game, you know he won it, because there's no way I'm going to give that guy credit unless that credit is maybe overdue in a given time. The running game looked awful. The line looked awful. The receiving core, it's interesting because he was asked about Roman Wilson only playing 10 snaps and why that was the case. And Tomlin says, well, it's fluid. We're going to change things around each week based on the schemes in the defense that we're facing. All right, we'll see. I want to see. And he might be true. We might only see Calvin Austin in there for 10 snaps this week, and Roman Wilson assumes that position. So can only imagine what's going on there. It's like playing a game of chess that the other team's playing chess. Tomlin's playing checkers for the most part in whatever's taking place there. But it is what it is. The Pittsburgh Steelers do come out of New York with a 34-32 victory. But they don't leave unscathed. There are injuries. And I think when you look at all the money invested in this defense, you start to ask yourself why the leading tackler was Juan Thornhill, who didn't even start the game, and why the lack of sacks. I mean, there was, 1 in the game by Alex Highsmith. I know Justin Fields is a more mobile quarterback, but he sure got sacked a lot when he played for the Steelers. So you start to ask a bunch of questions as far as how this game unfolded. We did see a little bit of different things happening on defense. TJ Watt actually made a couple of plays against the run. That's something you don't normally see. He was trying to guess, and there were times where he didn't guess correctly, but I did see him make a couple of tackles. He had 5 total tackles and no sacks. So normally he only tackles the quarterback, and it is a sack. So I'll give him credit for being a little more versatile. Same thing with Alex Highsmith. They did hint at that before the season started, that Highsmith and Watt were going to be used a little differently, and they were going to try to be an impact on every play, not just pass rushing the quarterback every single snap and trying to get a sack. So I will give them credit for that. Cam Hayward, what's he need, 11 sacks and a playoff win? I don't think they have to worry about those incentives. Doesn't look like that was going to happen. I know he got poked in the eye. I feel really bad about that. Sure I do. But in the end, he looked non-existent, especially against the run. So I could see why he basically held the Steelers hostage all preseason trying to get more money. Peyton Wilson thinks he's an elite pass defender and tackler. He had 5 tackles. Not a whole lot there. Deshaun Elliott had more tackles than all of them, and he left the game, I thought, relatively early. He had 6 tackles in the game, and he was gone for the second half. So, and he will not play this week. Doesn't look like Joey Porter's going to play this week. I haven't looked at the injury report yet today, but he hadn't practiced all week. So I'm assuming it's going to be probably a long shot to see that happen. But it's okay because the Steelers signed Jabril Peppers, and he'll fit in perfectly because all he can do is hit, just like Jalen Ramsey. They couldn't cover any receiver. They probably couldn't cover Scotty Miller or Ben Skoranek one-on-one. But don't worry, after they catch the ball, they'll hit you and maybe dislodge the ball, or maybe they'll just try to spear you and miss. You never know how it's going to work itself out in the end. I want to start with the defense, Nick, because I'm watching from afar. I could care less if the Steelers win or, well, I shouldn't say that because it's more fun when they lose, but they did win barely. That's kind of like a loss against the Jets, I think. Maybe not in the records and the scores, but people were expecting more, especially from this defense, because they're the side of the ball that makes all the money on this team. And I won't even say they looked average. They looked below average. Darius Slay looked like he was about 60. Jalen Ramsey can't cover anybody. I can see why they're trying to throw him out in the middle of the field. We're into a situation now where the secondary, which I thought was the weakness of this defense from the beginning, could potentially be playing with 2 backups on Sunday against Seattle. And I guess they're lucky they're playing Seattle and not Baltimore or Buffalo or someone like that this upcoming week, who will greatly take advantage of it. But I think if people were expecting the defense to come out looking impressive, looking fresh, looking aggressive, that's the last thing that they saw. I think you could talk all you want about the offensive line, but I think the defense was the biggest disappointment in this game.
Yeah, the defense was bad. The Jets are not known as a great offensive team, but maybe, they have a new regime, and Justin Fields have played the best game he ever has. He looked like he was back at Ohio State. He was flinging the ball around, and they have weapons. They have great skill guys, Brees and Garrett Wilson. The young guy, Mason Taylor, the rookie, he looked good. So, yeah, the Jets maybe are better offensively, but that doesn't excuse the Steelers giving up 32 points to them, almost losing, if not for the heroics of a 41-year-old quarterback and a record-long kick at the end by Boswell, who again saves them with the 60-yarder. If he misses that, you lose. If the Jets don't fumble on that kickoff return, the Steelers lose. But, hey, that's football. You go on the road week one. It's tough to win on the road, and the defense did look old and overpaid and not historic, or whatever Tomlin said they were going to be this offseason. They won the game because of Aaron Rodgers, who was flinging the ball to Ben Skoranek, got a touchdown, Jonnu Smith. It was fun to see. The offense overperformed and the defense underperformed, so that is what it is, and the special teams were what they were. So that means a 1-0 record. Now you're playing a team you should be able to beat at home in Seattle. So overall, yeah, the defense was bad. Offense was good. Rodgers was way better than anyone thought. 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. You'll take that every week. He was sacked 4 times, and you're right, Broderick Jones is not deserving of an NFL job, and that's the main reason Rodgers was on his back. I'm amazed he got up after that fourth quarter hit.
Was Jones responsible for all 4? I know 3 of them. He definitely was.
I think 3 of them, maybe all 4, but I'm amazed Rodgers got up after that fourth quarter hit, and on the first play from scrimmage, you get sacked. You're like, oh boy, but they score on that drive. He commanded the offense. He audibled. He moved things around. Not in love with the run game. It was awful. Why Kenneth Gainwell got more action than Caleb Johnson? That's not a good sign. Maybe that's a waste of a second-round pick. And Jaylen Warren, I don't think is a starting NFL running back, but he is by default. So I'll give him a B grade. They won, and that's it. I think they'll be 2-0 after Sunday. So there you go.
Yeah, I think as the season progresses, some major issues are going to pop up. I don't see anything on this roster that's going to fix some of the problems that they have. The defense is going to get older. They're going to get more tired. They're going to get more banged up. They're going to get slower as the year goes on. And I think when you look at the offense, there just aren't enough skill positions there. I think Rodgers, I still can't believe all the hate for Rodgers out there after his performance this week.
That's it. It's stupid. It's like politics. If you don't like the guy.
He won the game. I get it. But I forgot about Boswell. Boswell did make that 60-yarder, and he's Mr. Automatic from pretty much wherever.
Amazing.
But without Rodgers, they don't win. Even with Boswell kicking field goals, they're not scoring 34 points. They're just not. Rudolph's not doing it. Skylar Thompson, how did he get put on IR? How did he get hurt at practice or the walkthrough or something? So now they got Logan Woodside on the practice squad and Skylar Thompson on IR at this point. So, you start going down that depth chart, there's not much there. And the offensive line it's a shambles right now. You start looking at Broderick Jones, you got a pretty much virtual rookie on the other side because he didn't play all of last year, Fatanu. Sayamalu, for as great as he was supposed to be against the run when he played for Philly, 11 for 37 out of Jaylen Warren, that's just not going to get it done. And I'm not saying if Najee was there, he'd have done any better. He managed 1 carry in Los Angeles, so that should tell you what they think of him there. I know he's coming off the firework injury. Maybe he couldn't see when they were trying to put him in the game. But in the end, I can't imagine he would have been much better. And I agree. If you're going to run Kenneth Gainwell, you might as well just expect to lose because you're not doing anything with that guy. If that's the only other option you have when this Jaylen Warren experiment fails, and it's going to fail, then you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to become nothing more than a one-dimensional offense. Caleb Johnson's not out there because he doesn't understand the playbook, and Rodgers has been on him from the beginning of camp, and nothing has changed. Nothing's gotten any better. So I can't imagine, at least anytime soon, you're going to see much of him. When you look at that receiving core, all right, you got the 2 tight ends, but what did they really do? You got Freiermuth had, 3 catches for 28 yards, and Jonnu Smith didn't even have that. I thought Jonnu Smith was having trouble holding on to balls. He was open, couldn't get much after the catch. He did get a touchdown, so I'll give him that, but he looked old and lumbering, I think, as well. In that situation. Yeah, Ben Skoranek had a catch for a tie. You're not going to see that again probably all year. I can't believe he was on a field instead of Roman Wilson, who got 10 snaps total on offense, especially after his pretty decent performance in the preseason. I would have thought he earned more than that. Calvin Austin wasn't even seen in the preseason and was out there most of the offensive snaps. And he did well. He had a good game, a touchdown. And I think you're going to see a lot out of DK this week because they're playing Seattle, and I can see Rodgers trying to feed him the ball. But in the end, you got to give Rodgers time. And there were times when he had time, and there were times when he didn't. Play action helped a lot. He was able to do it. He doesn't like to do it. We know that, but he did it because I think after taking that sack on the first snap, he realized if I don't do something like this, I'm going to be going down every single time, and his 41-year-old body can't take those hits. So I was impressed with what I saw out of Aaron Rodgers. I didn't think he would look that good. And I know people are down on him saying he didn't look that good. I think he did. I think when you look at what has been behind center for the Steelers, even at the tail end of Roethlisberger's career, this is the best that team has seen in at least 5 years, definitely throughout the 2020s. So taking a look at what Rodgers was able to do, I thought was impressive from a standpoint of you got no running game and your line can't block and you're still throwing for over 200 yards and you got 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions because he don't like to throw the ball away either. So he's going to heave it downfield. If people are on him, you always run that risk of the fact that it's going to get picked off. So offensively, they looked okay. I mean, 34 points. Rodgers, I thought, looked great. The rest of the skill position, they stepped up when they had to, except the running game. The offensive line is going to be a major train wreck. And I can tell you this right now, if Aaron Rodgers goes down and has to come out of a game at any point in the season, this team might go winless the rest of the year based on what I saw out of that defense and the lack of literally anybody stepping up on offense outside of Rodgers. I can see there being major issues. You better hope Chris Boswell can kick 6 or 7 field goals and somehow, some way, maybe the defense gets lucky and somebody slips and falls on the other side that they're able to make a tackle. Looking at that defense, I just, the word I use for that is just disgusted. Like these guys all whine and cry. They want all this money. They think they're elite. They tell you every time they get to talk how much greater they are than everybody else. Then this is what they do week in and week out. They go out, they give up more points than they should. If this is an elite defense, especially against Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and nobody else of any note, as far as a skill position player, I agree with you, Nick. I think Mason Taylor is going to be good. He's not yet. That you give up 32 points to that, and you're going to talk about how you're an elite defense with an elite coordinator, Mike Tomlin, running the show for you. Come on. I mean, this is just, and in the end, it just gets to be garbage. And that's what I said. When you don't develop and draft well and develop young players, you end up with a bunch of old guys. That's all you can get in free agency, and that's what they brought in. You're going to literally put Darius Slay out there potentially as your number 1 corner this week and think he's going to do what? He's going to cover Jackson Smith and Jigba? I don't think so. I mean, Sam Darnold looked about as awful as a quarterback has looked in recent time in the first week. But I can tell you right now, San Francisco's got twice the defense that Pittsburgh has at this point. TJ Watt looked better. I liked that he was in on the run play. Same thing with Highsmith. They looked okay. I mean, they weren't in any way the reason why the defense was so bad. Patrick Queen, once again, out of position. They got him trying to cover receivers out of the back. Like, Patrick Queen should be there to stop the run. You know why he should be there to stop the run? Because the defensive line can't stop it. And you can argue about a first-round pick who shouldn't have been a first-round pick who was hurt. If that's the reason why you think they can't stop the run, then you got bigger problems than you think right now, Pittsburgh Steelers, because Cam Hayward's who you're paying to stop the run, and he can't do it, and neither can Keanu Benton, who was a high draft pick, second-round pick, and whoever else they're going to insert there until Harmon's ready. Peyton Wilson looked average. I thought he looked better last year. And this secondary is an absolute train wreck mess. I'd rather see Thornhill in than Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers is bad. Like I watched him in New England last year. He can hit, but he can't cover. And same thing with Jalen Ramsey, who looks more and more like a thug every single time I see him. That's all he does. He knows he can't.
Well, he made the big hit at the end. That won him the game.
Well, but that's it. He's nowhere near a play. He can't cover anybody.
Yeah,
He realizes his best days are behind him. He's not even 30 yet, and he realizes his best days are behind him. I mean, if you're going to rely on a big hit like that every game, that's a splash play.
Yeah.
According to Mike Tomlin, you're going to lose more than you're going to win because he's not going to be in position to get those hits. But they'll get a couple. They'll get 2 or 3.
They won the turnover battle.
They'll get 2 or 3 wins out of a defensive splash play.
Sure.
That's about it. So there's 1 down right now. They wasted it on the Jets. So we'll see. Maybe he'll get 1 on Seattle because I guarantee that'll be close too by the time it's all said and done.
Sure.
Yeah, Ramsey looked angry.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he had a bee in his bonnet or something.
A bee in his bonnet.
Oh, he had the bonnet on.
Wow.
So I like
that.
I don't know. He annoys me. I used to like him. Now it was great when he would talk trash when he could back it up. Now he can't back it up and he's just annoying. That's
Just
where
glad
I
to
am
be out
with
of
the
Miami
Pittsburgh
because
Steelers
they're
right
a
now.
dumpster fire.
Yeah, well, when he was in Jacksonville, he was good. I mean, he talked trash on Josh Allen and said he didn't belong in the NFL, and that backfired on him. But
Yeah, that didn't work out.
you could talk trash when you're good. He's just not good. Neither is Darius Slay. Neither is a lot of these other people on the defense. Your two leading tacklers, Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark.
There you
By
go.
the way, backups.
Chuck Clark.
Weren't even supposed to be in the game.
Thought it was Kenny Clark when I saw that guy out
Oh, if only they were that lucky. And then Boswell, I don't know. He
great.
tie him and Rodgers MVP.
He's great.
Yep.
Yeah, give it to Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, you finally have a quarterback with pedigree after, ever since Ben left his prime, whenever that was, 2018, 2019, or that was the back half of it. You've had some bad quarterback play, and, finally you have someone who can win you a game at that position. That's what the NFL is now.
That's what it is, all about offense. Except in Pittsburgh. They pay it like it's all about defense, and here we go, 1 week down, 32 points given up. So we'll see how many points. We'll keep track as the season goes on, see how many points this defense can give up. Elite defense. Well, they're paid like it. Can't say they played like it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look ahead. Pittsburgh Steelers at home, the home opener against Seattle. We'll take a look at the injury report, and we'll pick that one. We didn't do that last week. We forgot to pick the Steeler game during the first hour, so we'll make sure we get that picked during the first hour. And the second hour is going to be mostly football, too. I mean, unless you want to hear about the Pirates losing 6 in a row and the potential of Sidney Crosby leaving the Penguins. Both depressing stories, I think. So we'll stick with the ups and downs of week 1 football. But when we come back, we're still talking Steelers. Time to look ahead. We'll see what Seattle has. Don't go anywhere.
The UPMC Rehabilitation Institute on Wayland Smith Drive offers cutting-edge physical therapy. Jim Burns and his staff are residents of the community, treating sports injuries, neurological conditions, back pain, sprains and strains, joint replacements, hand injuries, and other conditions. They treat you efficiently and safely by taking all necessary precautions while disinfecting the clinic regularly. All insurance accepted. Experienced therapists. Convenient location and hours. Part of the community. Call the office with a prescription from your doctor or schedule by direct access 724-437-7500.
This is Dr. Alyssa Lorenz of U.S. Digestive Health in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Common issues like difficulty with swallowing, frequent heartburn, recurrent abdominal pain, bowel habit problems, and rectal bleeding are often easily diagnosed and treated. Dr. Calabrese Stokes, Hoppy, and I are local gastroenterologists that are here to help. For more information, call our Uniontown office at 724-437-7677.
Shopping for replacement windows in Fayette County? Metropolitan Window Company elevates your shopping experience.
John, Maggie, and Justin Schmutzer here from Metropolitan Window Company, a family-owned and operated window and door company for over 47 years.
When you choose Metropolitan Window Company, you'll experience personalized knowledge, expertise, and professionalism from our first visit to your home until our craftsmen complete your installation.
We're the window company that people want in their homes, and our exclusive Infinity by Marvin 100% fiberglass windows are the windows people love.
They're built for life. They are the strongest, longest-lasting windows you can buy.
We have a great selection of colors and finishes. We service the entire Fayette County area and will come to your home. Visit us at metropolitanwindows.com or give us a call at
412-655-8411.
PA 1565.
Zen's Antiques and Home Decor, part of the Cinder Shack family of vendors, where you can find both antique and new furniture, collectibles, housewares, gift items, including jewelry and candles, and so much more. Follow Zen's Antiques and Home Decor on Facebook for new items and information on upcoming events. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor in Building 2 at 3391 National Pike in Farmington. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor.
I've been thinking about switching primary care providers. It takes forever to get an appointment, and when I finally get in, the staff acts like they don't even care that I'm there.
That's so frustrating. You deserve a provider who listens, values your time, and truly cares about your health.
That's exactly what I need. Someone who sees me as a person, not just another name on a chart.
Then you should check out Montgomery Medical. They treat you like family, offer personalized care, and even have same-day appointments.
At Montgomery Medical, your health is our priority. Call 724-569-8100 Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine.
Ready to score big on your next home? Well, great news. Huge savings are waiting for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. From open floor plans perfect for game day parties to energy-efficient homes that will help you save money all season long, these homes are built to deliver. Don't wait on the sidelines. Make the winning play today and find the home that fits your family and lifestyle. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon at 4500 Route 51.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. If you're just tuning in, we spent most of the first segment talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers' 34-32 win last Sunday over the New York Jets. A lot of people expecting more, I think, from the Steelers. Week 1 is tricky. I'll give the defense that because most of them didn't play in the preseason. So we'll say week 1 is tricky. You never know what's going to happen. You see big-time surprises. When we go through in the next hour and talk about some of the games, I think there were some big-time surprises. The fact that Cleveland almost beat Cincinnati was a big-time surprise. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But in the end, we'll take a look through. The Steelers, they're 1-0. They're at home this week. They're playing Seattle, a team they should beat. So I think a lot of people may be more optimistic than anything else. But you can't unsee that defensive effort against the Jets. And Seattle, I think, should have maybe a better team out there offensively than what the Jets had. I mean, the Jets had Garrett Wilson. At least Seattle has Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. At least they have two that I think are legit wide receivers out there, plus some younger guys that are in the mix as well. They have Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, where the Jets only had really Breece Hall. They tried Braylon Allen, but it didn't work real well. Fields probably better than Darnold because at least Fields can move around a little bit. Neither can really throw the ball accurately downfield. Darnold can't move. So, I mean, I would say you have to put a little bit of an edge for the Steelers this week, even after the disappointment against the Jets. But I guess it's better if you're going to be disappointed and you still win. It's probably better than being disappointed and taking a big loss. So looking ahead, the injury report just came out a little while ago for the Steelers, and based on who practiced today, oh, I didn't see that. So it's not out there yet. Let me refresh just to see. I'll give you Wednesday's numbers if we don't have the report in for Thursday. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, some question marks going into this game as far as who may play, who may not play, what sort of timing will be on the amount of time that they're actually in there to play. So I do not have, as of yet, today's injury report. So I'm going to be basing it off of yesterday, which when we get today's, it'll be a little bit different. Players that did not play or did not practice yesterday. Joey Porter Jr., and he's not practiced all week. He's got the hamstring injury. He left the game, which is obviously not a good sign. On Sunday, hamstrings, they're tricky. They can last sometimes 3-4 weeks. So I do not expect to see Porter unless he gets out there in a limited fashion. I didn't hear that he was out there today. You still have tomorrow with a little bit of a walkthrough, so maybe. But what I'm thinking is probably no Porter, and we already know that Deshaun Elliott is not going to play. They announced that earlier. So we've got no safety, starting safety, no starting corner potentially in this game. So I guess here's the question, Nick. We know that they're talking about putting Jabril Peppers, who, by the way, they just signed. They might be better off trying to put Julius Peppers in there. They just signed Jabril Peppers. He was released by New England. It was a well-deserved release. He's got off-the-field issues like crazy as well, so no surprise he found a home in Pittsburgh. But Peppers, a lot of question marks on him. He's a hitter. Not really a good coverage guy. None of the safeties really cover that well, which is an issue when you have trying to put linebackers out there who also can't cover. So we know it's probably going to be Peppers. What happens at corner if Porter doesn't play? Do you put Ramsey and Slay out there?
I guess.
I mean, that could be an absolute annihilation, but there's nobody better. I think that's where you start to look and you start to ask yourself, well, who else could potentially go out there? I mean, you're down at the likes of James Pierre. I mean, you've got to start throwing help out there if that's what's going to happen. So I think this whole idea of trying to play man, you've got to go into some sort of zone. And I can see Seattle just taking advantage of that left and right. You've got a big young tight end in Elijah Arroyo who's going to be running around out there in the midst of both Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp, and your running backs can catch out of the backfield. So if you try to drop linebackers into coverage, then whether it's Charbonnet or Walker, Walker's the better pass catcher. I think Charbonnet is the better runner. But you have those two there as well who are potential weapons. I can see some bad things happening for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The one area you don't want to lose anybody is the secondary, and it looks potentially like they could be down 2 in a situation like that. I don't know. I was so 100% like Sam Darnold's going to throw for like 100 yards. And then I start looking at receivers. I start looking at this whole defensive outlook. I mean, you know what's going to happen. They're going to need help. So you're going to see Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen back there in coverage against tight ends and slot receivers, trying to get double coverage maybe on Smith and Jigba. Do what you can against Cooper Kupp. I mean, this could get real messy real early. It shouldn't, but it could.
No, the Seahawks have some weapons. They have an old Cooper Kupp, and they have JSN, Smith and Jigba, who was really impressive in that game. I watched a lot of it. And Sam Darnold did not look good. He's not mobile. I guess when he's on Kevin O'Connell's offense, he doesn't look nearly as good with a defensive-minded guy like Mike McDonald. And they have the two-headed backs there, the two-headed monster at back, Charbonnet and Walker. So they have some ability there. They were not able to beat a team they, I think, should have beat at home, the Niners, who are banged up now. They really are banged up without Purdy and Kittle going into week 2. But Seattle's going to be desperate. It's a long flight for them. They don't want to be 0-2. But I think the Steelers, if Rodgers plays the way he did, I think they can overcome the bad defense because if he can continue that against Seattle, and I think he can, the Steelers should win this game at home against an NFC team. They've had a lot of success against the NFC at home over the years, and Seattle just, I thought, laid an egg offensively last week. So it's a winnable game for the Steelers, I think.
When we look at other players, obviously first-round pick Derek Harmon not going to play again with the knee injury. You've got Nick Herbig, who has been practicing this week in a limited fashion, so I'm assuming he'll be out there. Calvin Anderson, the backup offensive lineman, he's had an illness that he's been dealing with all week. I would assume he'll play, depending on whether or not that clears up. And, of course, we had Veterans Day yesterday for T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward. So, very well-deserved, by the way. They tore it up in the Jets game. So I can see why.
All right.
It's interesting because I look at Seattle's list of the injury list from yesterday. All the guys that didn't practice are actually hurt. So I'm not used to
a novel concept.
Not used to seeing that. Yeah, where's Veterans Day for all these other guys? Seems like somebody's getting shortchanged in all of that. That they probably should, be getting some extra time off. Seattle's defense really has been getting a lot of the talk this week. They're talking about the great pass rush that they have. They're talking about the coverage and the secondary. And, that's, I don't think something that we thought we would talk about. We figured we'd be talking more about the offense. I think a lot of people thought that Sam Darnold would be able to sort of take what he learned last year in Minnesota and translate that into his experience in Seattle, and it just hasn't happened. It didn't really happen in the preseason because we did see a little bit of him in the preseason, and it certainly has not happened in the regular season. So, taking a look at what Seattle could potentially do or maybe not do in a situation against the Steelers, I think I was surprised a little bit that the defense had gotten as much talk as it had, but definitely a lot of emphasis being put on that Seattle defense, on that pass rush, primarily by Leonard Williams, who I think is going to put a ton of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Old versus
absolutely.
old.
Yes, exactly. That should be a fun matchup. And again, the defense could look a lot better and the offense could look a lot worse. It's a week-to-week league, and it's a different environment being at home, being against a different team, different scheme. So, yeah, maybe the defense looks really good and the offense looks really bad this week. Maybe it's a Freaky Friday at Acrisure Sunday, but we'll see. I think it's a very winnable game for the Steelers. Seattle didn't impress me, certainly not offensively, week 1.
No, I was shocked. Now, San Francisco does have a pretty good defense.
They do.
And even without all their guys, we'll talk in a little bit about everybody's hurt.
Sure.
But that defense might be able to go out and win them a game. Could we ever say that about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No. I mean, it's an historic defense, Coach T said. Historically bad, maybe. Maybe he didn't specify.
Elite. The
Elite.
players like to call themselves elite.
And they are. That's the thing. They have elite players. Doesn't mean it's an elite unit.
That is true.
Hayward and Watt are elite. They're Hall of Fame level guys, but they're both older, and that doesn't make it an elite unit. The secondary's not.
Well, even at this stage of their career, it doesn't necessarily make them elite players anymore.
No. Yeah.
Where they may have been at one point.
Highsmith, he's borderline elite. He's very good, but doesn't. Again, it's not a great unit. It wasn't Sunday, but they won anyway. So.
Yes. Well, the way they're paid like they're elite. That's I think the biggest problem that most of the fan base has is we're paying these guys ridiculous amounts of money. Now, it's not a big deal.
And even if the
it's not like there's other people out there they can go get.
And even if it was a great defense, it's just not the era to pay a defense that much. Even if it was a lockdown defense, okay, that era's over. You should be spending the money on the other side of the ball.
And I know people are angry about not getting a number 2 wide receiver, and they should be. I think they thought they had Pickens for one more year.
Do they even have
on.
a 1? Are we sure DK's a reliable 1? I mean, I wasn't impressed.
I wasn't impressed either.
He's playing his former team this week. It's a revenge game, just like it was for Aaron last
Rodgers
week.
will force the ball to him.
Force it to him, yeah.
Rodgers likes that kind of stuff.
He wants to
too.
light up Seattle. Yeah, I get it.
If there's a soap opera storyline, Rodgers wants to be a part of it.
Of course.
I'm sure that'll be a thing. And they probably will have some success with that if they can keep Rodgers protected, and that's going to be, I think, the growing issue that we're going to be watching all year. Yeah, there are weapons on Seattle. There are weapons on Pittsburgh. I think it's a pretty evenly matched up game.
Yeah, it is.
So with only a couple of minutes left, let's make our picks. Go ahead, Nick. Tell us who you're taking in this one. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers favored. The spread I have from TJ is 2.5. I know it's like 3.5 now, but it's Steelers by 2.5. So go ahead and make your pick.
I was seeing 3 earlier in the week, but we'll go with 2.5. Yeah, I was not impressed with Seattle. You know, I like Darnold. It was his first game with the new team, and maybe without Kevin O'Connell, he reverted back to the Jets Darnold. I like Smith and Jigba. They have good running backs in Charbonnet and Walker, but they just do not impress me against the Niners. That's asking a lot, too, to fly cross country. That's like a 10 a.m. local start for them, 1 p.m. on Sunday at Acrisure, and I think Rodgers will look good again if you keep him upright. Maybe only he gets sacked 2 times this week. Cut it in half. I like the Steelers, I'll say, by 4. Another somewhat low-scoring affair. I'll say
Squeaking it out.
2016 Steelers.
Okay, I was going to ask point-wise if you thought they'd give up less than 20. So.
I think they will. I think they'll come back to earth. I think they'll contain Seattle this week. If they don't, then we have an issue. But another low-scoring, a low-scoring affair like we thought last week would be, but it wasn't.
Well, I'll give you a little teaser here. These are the teams that everyone has picked in this game. Brian took Seattle, which Brian always goes against the grade, so I'm not surprised by that.
Nice,
Josh
smart.
took the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt took the Pittsburgh Steelers. TJ took the Steelers. Bill took the Steelers. And I was really on the fence with this. Like, this was a harder pick probably for me than it should have been.
It was.
I ended up going with the Steelers only because of what I think of Sam Darnold. If they would have had Geno Smith there, I probably would have picked Seattle. But I'll go with the Steelers. I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. It's going to be maybe even 3 by the time it's all said and done. But they'll squeak one out. For them to win, the defense is going to have to give up about probably 12. So I'm going to say 15-12. Battle of field goals in this one. Pittsburgh Steelers get the win. That's all the time we have for the first hour of the Sports Voice. Don't go anywhere. Hour 2's coming up next. A lot more football, plus I guess some Pirates. Don't go away.
Now, you don't have to travel too far for medical marijuana products. Go to Local Leaf in Scottdale for a wide variety of locally grown and locally sourced products, plus your questions answered on medical marijuana, qualifying medical conditions, or how to register for your medical card. Local Leaf by PHG off Route 119 in Scottdale, 412-417-4964. Online at localleafpa.com. Local Leaf, your medical marijuana dispensary with locally grown and locally sourced products in Scottdale.
Your local station, 590 and 101.1 W266DB, WMBS Uniontown, sunny and 76. Outside of our Davis & Davis studios, now CBS News at 5 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm Cammie McCormick. Authorities in Utah released photos today of person of interest in the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. CBS's Anna Schechter reports it indicates authorities don't have the suspect's ID pinned down, and they don't know where he is.
It harkens back to the Luigi Mangione case from last December, where it actually took 5 days for the person who assassinated the CEO of United Healthcare to be found and positively ID'd. And it was a member of the public who saw him eating at a McDonald's and recognized the photo that law enforcement had put out. So here, in a similar fashion, law enforcement has put out these 2 photos.
A number of public officials have expressed concern about security following the killing of Kirk. Linda Kenyon has that.
Republican Representative James Comer was asked about whether he has concerns about security.
I mean, you always think about it.
Standing outside the U.S. Capitol building, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee added,
outdoor events probably are going to be a lot fewer in numbers for members of Congress.
Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has canceled a rally for tonight due to security concerns, while Republican Representative Nancy Mace said she's going to double down on her beliefs and start carrying a firearm. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Millions of Americans took a moment today to remember the events of this day in 2001. Michael George reports.
A bell tolled, marking the moment the first plane crashed into the World Trade Center 24 years ago today. Mournful bagpipes followed, and then the traditional reading of the names of the victims of the largest terror attack on American soil.
Michael F. Camerata.
At the Pentagon, President Trump and the First Lady took part in a moment of silence for the 184 people killed there. And a ceremony was held in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, in memory of the passengers and crew killed aboard United Flight 93.
Skylar Henry reports hundreds of South Koreans boarded a plane in Georgia today after they were detained at a Hyundai plant by federal agents.
We have learned that President Trump has offered those who were detained the opportunity to stay in the country and train U.S. workers. We have also heard from the South Korean president, who expressed concerns surrounding the raid altogether, while also saying that what happened last week at that facility could potentially have impacts on future Korean investments in the United States.
On Wall Street today, stocks finished higher, the S&P 500 setting another record. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Pizza Kings in Connellsville is your go-to lunch and dinner spot with a full menu of mouth-watering pizzas and so much more. Using a deck oven helps our pizzas stay extra crisp. So if you haven't tried a slice lately, what are you waiting for? From our 50-slice King Carnivore to veggie pizzas and even pickle pizzas, Pizza King has the pie to match your taste. Pizza Kings, 1046 Morrell Avenue in Connellsville. Call 724-626-8343 or visit pizzakingswithaz.com.
Concerned about your heart health? At WVU Medicine, we believe your heart deserves world-class care, close to home and always within reach. Our non-invasive cardiology team uses advanced tests like stress tests and cardiac MRI to diagnose and monitor heart conditions without surgery. Call 877-WVU, the number 4HRT, or visit wvumedicine.org/heart.
The more things change, the more they stay the same at a country kitchen chain.
At Cracker Barrel, come together for the good stuff.
Cracker Barrel has announced on social media some of that good stuff. Its beloved biscuits will once again be rolled by hand and baked fresh throughout the day. It's the latest about face after aggressive backlash over planned changes that included a logo revamp and a do-over of its down-home vintage decor in favor of a minimalist modern look. The company says it's also walking back its policies related to social justice issues and will no longer sponsor events not directly related to business needs, including pride events. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
The British ambassador to the U.S. has been fired by the Prime Minister after revelations about his years-long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and his emails suggesting that Epstein's first conviction was wrong. I'm Cammie McCormick, CBS News.
And now we go live to Story Square with Matt and TJ, guys.
It's
5 minutes after 5 o'clock. Thank you, Nick, and good evening, or good afternoon. I don't know what really... No, the evening formally starts at 6 o'clock, so it's good afternoon. I'm Matt Sapienza. He's TJ DeStefano. What are you shaking your head in discontentment for?
You.
But I'm trying my best here. Well, in any event, we're here at Story Square. It is the last in this year's summer concert series, and it's a very special one at that because it happens to fall on this particular day. Of course, today, 24 years ago today, of course, were the terrorist attacks on New York City, the Pentagon, and one county east of us in Somerset at Shanksville. So there's a very patriotic theme that is being held tonight. TJ, you've definitely seen. There's fire trucks. There's a big American flag hanging above Main Street. There's firefighters in uniform. So a very patriotic evening is to be had.
It is. There's police, EMS. I think they're going to do some kind of announcement here at the beginning. There's some honor guard as well. The band tonight is Fret Buzz. They're going to be doing songs themed around America and things like that as well. So it's going to be a very nice night down here at Story Square for the final concert series. Hard to believe this is the last one of the year already.
Yeah, already. And TJ already reminded me that if you remember seeing the social page last year, you saw me getting dunked with water. That's what's happening again. So we are all gussied up. We're ready to go. Going to be here from 5 to 7 o'clock, but also the show is going to go on until 8:30. And there's a new vendor, one that we have never seen food-wise. TJ, who is it?
It is Sweet and Smokin' Barbecue.
Okay.
And the whole event is sponsored by the WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital.
Correctamundo. So, of course, we're here until 7 o'clock. We got the prize wheel, so who doesn't like free stuff? You get zoo tickets, lotto tickets, T-shirts, pens. So if you're in the vicinity of downtown Uniontown and have time available, why not join us? We might have a couple guests join us. I see Scott Kahn from the Uniontown Fire Department. Maybe we'll have him on a little bit later. Crystal, the head honcho of the Uniontown Redevelopment Authority, we'll have her on as a guest. So it's going to be a good evening. So keep it locked for all the fun. This is your local station, 590 AM, 101.1 FM, and of course on your device of choice, WMBS. Hour 2 of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway coming up in just a few moments. But first, Nick Barczyk to give you the local district and statewide news.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
And good evening, 5:08, and outside of our Davis & Davis studios, sunny and 77 on this Thursday. I'm Nick Barczyk, Davis & Davis, attorneys at law, voted Fayette County's best law firm 2024. Your local station, 590 and 101.1 WMBS, the Weather Watch and Sports on the way. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Pirro joined family members of the private wreath-laying ceremony at the Flight 93 National Memorial in Shanksville today on the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. The governor did not speak at the opening ceremony in the Memorial Plaza that held a standing-room-only crowd. The ceremony included a ringing of the bells of remembrance and the reading of the 40 names of the passengers and flight crew on the airplane that day. The ceremony wrapped up with Flight 93 families walking to the crash site for a private wreath laying. A 9/11 remembrance ceremony is happening in Connellsville this evening. It's going to be at the Veterans Plaza in the city. Beginning at 7, a pair of lights will be set up at the plaza through midnight to represent the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. Today marks the 24th anniversary of the terror attacks in New York City at the Pentagon and D.C. and aboard United Airlines Flight 93. First-time filings for unemployment are increasing slightly around Pennsylvania. That's according to the U.S. Labor Department, which says for the week ending the 6th of this month, there are more than 8,700 first-time filings for unemployment in the Keystone State. The number is up slightly from the week before. Nationally, the number of initial claims increased for the week. The FAA is issuing a safety alert warning of lithium-ion battery and their fire risks. Tammy Trujillo has more on that.
Lithium batteries are generally prohibited in checked luggage, but even in carry-on baggage, the FAA says they can pose a risk to passengers and crew. The FAA advised airlines to revise their traditional firefighting methods to consider the proper response for what are called thermal runaway events. The alert comes as the FAA has recorded an increase in the number of safety events associated with lithium batteries. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
More next on WMPS.
Hey everyone, it's Josh Krysak here with Ron Romeo from Ultimate Structures outside of Perryopolis. Ron, is it true that at Ultimate Structures you can customize sheds and metal buildings to meet your client's needs?
Absolutely, Josh. Each manufacturer that I represent offers an on-site design program to develop the building of your needs.
What kind of enhancements and options are available for those looking for a new shed or metal building?
We basically start out with a model without options. The customer chooses a style and size. There's hundreds of options available to design what works best for the customer's needs.
When you're ready to take your storage building game to the next level, call Ultimate Structures at 724-415-0020. Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis. They design what you desire.
In sports, we have NFL action tonight. The second week of the NFL season gets underway from Lambeau. The Commanders taking on the Packers at 7:30 with the game at 8:15 on WMBS. In baseball today, Pirates lose to the Orioles 3-2. The Bucks have lost 6 in a row, take on the Nationals in Washington this weekend. And on the way Friday night, high school football, C.R. Barada Group High School Sports Night on the way at 3:30 Friday. Uniontown's at Allardyce at Couple Stadium on the YouTube Facebook page as well, video only. And then in the evening at 7, it'll be the Indiana Little Indians hosting the Laurel Highlands Mustangs at 7 on the radio and video. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame at 6. Following the game, the Trib Live High School Football Scoreboard Show. It's the C.R. Barada Group High School Sports Night on WMBS.
The local district and statewide news was brought to you by Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis on Route 51 southbound. Call them today at 724-415-0020 to find the shed, cabin, or metal building that meets your needs.
This weather report being brought to you by Montgomery Medical. Trust their 50 years of combined experience for the best results in primary care, newborns to elderly, minor illness or injury, as well as wellness and physical exams. And now the weather.
Sunny and 77 right now, with the overnight low dropping down to 53, warming up to 82 Friday. Nice and warm this weekend. Sunny and 84 Saturday, 86 Sunday, 87 with sun on Monday. Right now, sunny and 77 at 5:11 on this Thursday. Good afternoon, I'm Nick Barczyk. Stock update, then the second hour of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway with more check-ins live from Story Square. All on the way next on WMPS.
This weather report was brought to you by Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine. Same-day appointments available for acute care. Call 724-569-8100 or visit montymed.com to schedule your appointment.
Good evening. This is Melody Cole of Janney Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 617 points, closing at 46,108. The NASDAQ Composite was up 157 points, closing at 22,043. And the S&P 500 was up 57 points, closing at 6,589. Among companies of local interest, Apple closed at $230.03, up $3.24. Amazon, $229.95, down 38 cents. Cisco, $67.69, down 44 cents. Boeing, $220.01, down $7.51. Caterpillar, $431.33, up $8.42. Disney, $117.06, up $1.27. ExxonMobil, $112.16, down 34 cents. First Energy, $43.60, up 36 cents. Johnson & Johnson, $178.50, up $2.71. Home Depot, $423.36, up $10.13. Intel, $24.61, down 16 cents. McDonald's, $308.41, up $2.47. Meta Platforms, $750.90, down $1.08. PNC Financial Services, $202.75, up 86 cents. Raytheon Technologies, $157.67, up $2.67. Rockwell Automation, $350.56, up $11.17. Tesla, $368.81, up $21.02. Verizon, $44.15, up 65 cents. And Walmart, $102.63, up $2.22. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 617 points, closing at 46,108. The NASDAQ Composite was up 157 points, closing at 22,043. And the S&P 500 was up 57 points, closing at 6,589. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, member FINRA, New York Stock Exchange, and SIPC, where we serve all of your investment needs, this is Melody Cole.
Join us for another PA CareerLink Awareness Day event, the Fayette Proud Job Fair. Come out to the PA CareerLink Fayette County office on Thursday, September 18th from 2 to 5 p.m. to explore the unique opportunities that our county has to offer. Connect with community service representatives from PA CareerLink partners or network with local employers. The choice is yours. And also, Josh Krysak and myself, Matt Sapienza, will be broadcasting live from 2 to 4 p.m. and, of course, spinning our fabulous WMBS prize wheel. So, drop by the PA CareerLink Fayette County office, 112 Commonwealth Drive in Lamont Furnace on Thursday, September 18th from 2 to 5 p.m. For more information, call 724-434-5627. Fayette County has a lot to offer. Let's make the most of it and stay Fayette proud.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Welcome to part 2 of the Sports Voice. Ahead on this hour, mostly football, but I do have to talk a little other stuff early on, and then we will take a look at the week that was in the National Football League. Week 1, the kickoff week, and look ahead to week 2, which will begin tonight as the Green Bay Packers will host the Washington Commanders. Some really good game for the first 2 weeks at least on Thursday Night Football. We know that really nobody likes to play that game. It's a short week, and you got, I thought, a really good one, a better one than it should have been last week with Philadelphia and Dallas, and potentially a better one this week with Washington at Green Bay. So it doesn't take long, and you're into the next NFL week. Pretty soon they'll just play every day of the week, and you won't know when the first week ends and the second week starts. But for now, at least we have some separation between the two. I want to spend a lot of time on football. We have our picks of the week that we have to make. We are picking every game on the schedule with spreads this year, and there are 7 people picking. So if they work here at WMBS, there's a good chance they're picking games, and part of what you will see posted on Facebook every Tuesday. The challenge. Don't know what the champion's going to get when this is all said and done yet. Potentially Nick washes their car for 2 months. Potentially it's something else, but we will figure that out as we continue going through the weeks. It's a fun thing, a little competitive, and we're doing it right here on the Sports Voice, which makes it even better. In other stories around sports, we've got the Pittsburgh Pirates on a 6-game losing streak after their 3-2 loss earlier this afternoon to the Baltimore Orioles, who really aren't that good either, but taking advantage of some poor play from the Pittsburgh Pirate offense. And that's pretty much what it is at this point. It's the offense. The pitching I thought, looked pretty solid over most of these games. Throw out that final game against Milwaukee, that 10-2 loss. But for the most part, they've kept the team at least within grasp of a win. But the offense has looked really, really bad. It has all year. Maybe a little more noticeable now. After the Pirates got done sweeping the Dodgers last week, Donnie Kelly was at 500 as manager of the Pirates. Since we've been on the air last, the Pirates haven't won a game. They got swept over the weekend by Milwaukee. An embarrassment, I thought, for Bubba Chandler. I'll tell you this. If you really want to know, because the Pirates are going to try to sell you somebody else when they get rid of Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, in 2+ years, never had a game like Bubba Chandler had against Milwaukee on Sunday. Paul Skeens is an elite pitcher. He's the best pitcher right now in Major League Baseball. He's the only hope this team has to even think about making the playoffs in the near future. And the Pirates are going to let him slip right through their fingers, and they're going to sell you Chandler and Hernandez and Barco and who knows who else to come in and be just the same as Paul Skeens. It's an outright lie. You saw it on Sunday. If you for 1 second buy in and think that Bubba Chandler can replace Paul Skeens, then you have no business watching baseball ever again the rest of your life. This is the guy that needs to get the contract. It doesn't even matter right now if the Pirates, they're not going to win probably with or without him, at least nothing consistently, but he is the best pitcher in baseball. You have an opportunity to have the best player in some position on your roster. All you have to do is pay him, and the longer you wait, the more expensive he's going to be. That should have been done last year. Not that they would have gotten him at a bargain rate, but it would have been a whole lot cheaper than what they're going to give him this year and a whole lot cheaper than what they're going to have to give him next year, especially once arbitration starts kicking in. He will win his arbitration case no matter what number he gives. I'm sure Major League Baseball will make sure he wins it because they want him out of Pittsburgh as soon as possible and on a team that actually tries to win, that isn't lazy, that cares, and that might be around in the postseason so MLB can showcase Paul Skeens at the time of their season when it's most important, which, of course, as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's nowhere near anything important. He started the All-Star game the first 2 years in his career. He's the reigning Rookie of the Year, should be the Cy Young winner this year, based solely on his ERA alone, let alone 200 strikeouts and everything else he's done. They say a lot, well, you shouldn't worry about a record of a pitcher anymore. Well, you certainly shouldn't worry about his because he's pitched well enough to win 20 games this year, and he doesn't even have 10. That's the Pittsburgh Pirates in a nutshell. They are just a horrendously run organization from what you see on the field to what you hear about behind the scenes. You've got a cheap owner who could care less about the product he puts out there. You have a GM that has no idea what he's doing, that goes out and makes trades trying to rebuild this team for two 28-year-old rookies who are both horrible, by the way. That's what comes into this team. A entirely new philosophy has to be had. Young players need to be promoted at a reasonable amount of time. They're going to have a major issue next year with number one prospect in Major League Baseball, Connor Griffin, who's going to be 20 years old and knocking on the doorstep of MLB, and they're going to try everything they can to hold him back and not let him get there at that young of an age. What does it matter? What does it matter if he comes up at 20 or he comes up at 22? They're not giving him a second contract anyways. What does it matter how old he is when he comes up? Get him up here sooner. Get him up here. Let him spend some time with Skeens. What did it matter with Skeens? Is he getting a second contract? I mean, that's the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you're not intending to give them what they deserve once they get up there, what do you care? Bring them up when they're 18. What's the difference if they leave when they're 25 or they leave when they're 28? Bring them up, because what you're doing right now certainly isn't working. The offense is anemic. The most overrated player in baseball plays for this team. That's O'Neal Cruz, who's absolutely awful at literally everything he attempts to do related to baseball. But hey, he can throw the ball hard and he can hit the ball hard. Well, you got to make contact with the ball to worry about where you're going to hit it. He's down to 200 right now. Brian Reynolds is barely hitting 240. This is the highest paid player on the team. I mean, this is what you're looking at. Mitch Keller, the highest paid pitcher, has got double-digit losses. What do you really have to get excited about for next year? You might be able to if you thought the team cared enough that they were going to really take a step back, analyze what they had, try to bring in pieces that can help this team win, but that's not what they do. They don't even try to do it. Oh, they lie. Oh, they'll be all in, I'm sure, on Bo Bichette and Pete Alonso until the very end, but I guarantee 100% neither will have a black and gold Pirate uniform on next year, and who knows who else they try to move off of because they're either underachieving or they make too much money for this team and they're looking to rebuild. They talked about Hayes and they talked about Falter. Oh, well, they're moving that money so they can use it in a better place. When you go out and bring in Cam Devaney and Evan Sisk, and that's what you have to show for guys that were actually productive that you traded away on this roster, absolutely ridiculous. This team is a mess. The hodgepodge of nothingness. I can't imagine a better term used to describe a team as that is for this baseball team. O'Neal Cruz is up for arbitration. He'll be the only guy, Nick, mark my words, that loses an arbitration case. And if the Pirates give him a long-term deal, they're more nuts than I think they are right now.
Boy, Dave, kudos to you for still paying attention to that team and that sport even. I mean, I check out when football starts until the playoffs when the good teams start playing each other. I mean, yeah, Skeens last night, a lot of strikeouts, look good. I knew he wasn't going to get the win. You just know going in. The fact that he has 10 wins is amazing. He's 10-9. He should have 20 wins. He should win the Cy Young going away, but they're going to hold the record against him. There's a poor record against him, and Major League Baseball has to just say, wow, we can market all of our stars practically except this guy because he's stuck on this team that's not going to make the playoffs, and if we do put him in the Hall of Fame game or the Speedway game or the Cornfield game, we have to, if the Pirates are in that game, we have to make sure he's pitching. They're not tuning in for Johan Oviedo or Mike Burrows or O'Neal Cruz striking out, because when he does hit the ball, it does go really far and hard, as we saw in the home run derby. But yeah, it's just a mess. And has Donnie Baseball worked? Yeah, the record, they certainly look better. Yes, he looks better.
Cleaner too.
Don Kelly looks better than the worst manager maybe ever. Good for Don. I mean, what do you want me to say? Come on. Is there hope for 26? I don't know. They have to improve that offense. It is maybe the worst I've seen in my 30 years of watching baseball. It's just awful how bad that offense is.
Here's the question, Nick. When you look at the roster right now, who do you want on the roster next year? That's where it really starts to get tricky.
Exactly.
Like, who do you pick? Who do you say, okay, like, obviously we know Skeens. We want Keller
back.
there.
Reynolds will be back, yeah.
Reynolds, I mean, do you want Reynolds back? Reynolds will be back.
But,
Do you want him back? I mean, and you start looking at Henry Davis. Do you want Henry Davis on the roster next year? Joey Bart? Like, start going around. Horowitz, maybe.
Ugh.
He's been okay. Triolo. Do you want Triolo there as a starter? I'll take Nick Gonzalez back. I'd like to see more out of Nick York. I'll take him back.
This team's never going to win without him.
Do you want Tommy Pham back?
Of course. He spices up the nightlife.
Well, that's true.
He gets
McCutchen, do we want McCutchen back?
He's a mascot.
Do you want O'Neal Cruz back?
Of course. He's entertaining to talk about, if nothing else.
I mean, it's just you start looking like, who can you market? That's why, like you said, Paul Skeens has to pitch if they're on national TV. That's why, because there's not one other person on this team that would draw ratings.
No, Bubba laid an egg against the Brewers, pitching against a good team. He didn't have it. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's a small market team because, they can't win, so they're not going to put him on TV anyway. But if Skeens isn't pitching, there's really no reason to even be invested in this organization. As much as I want them to win, as much as I like the sport of baseball, it's just depressing when you have a team that's close to your house that's not invested in winning, Dave.
Well, they were exposed on Sunday with the Chandler game.
Yeah, good thing nobody watched it. Everyone was watching football.
Right, but still people can see the stat line.
Yeah.
And nothing again. I know he played the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
Paul Skeens has pitched against the best teams in baseball and never was even close to having a game that looked like that.
No, Skeens mows down the Dodgers. He mows down the Brewers. He mows down everyone.
So if the Pirates are gonna try to act like they're interchangeable parts and you can swap out one for the other and you'll be just fine. I mean, there might be people out there that believe it. I mean, there are people that have watched this team all year long. So I would say, yeah, they probably would believe that Bubba Chandler is a elite pitcher, but he was in the minors for 4 years. There's a reason for that.
Yep.
He didn't get called up at the beginning of this year. That's because they were trying to hide him to make you think he was doing well, but he struggled in Indianapolis. He was right around 500 there, and then you bring him up. He looks okay in his first couple appearances, but then gets it handed to him against Milwaukee. Guess what? Milwaukee's in the division. Guess what? They're going to have to play Milwaukee every year. They're going to have to compete with Milwaukee if they want to make the playoffs. Milwaukee's not a big market team, but they draft and they develop, and a lot of their guys are homegrown and they're good, and if they're decent, they pay them. They can't pay everybody. They're paying Churio. They paid Yelich. They'll pay this Mizorowski kid. They'll pay some people. The Pirates won't pay anybody. They have the same amount of money, but the Pirates will say, oh, we don't have it. and Milwaukee will say, we actually want to try to win something, so we're going to care for a little bit. They might have to tear it down at some point, but for Pittsburgh, they can't even build it, let alone have to worry about tearing anything down. That's a major issue, and I just don't know. At this point, I don't understand how anyone can support this team. We've been there before. We've said it before. This is like the all-time bottom. I mean, Paul Skeens is one guy who's trying to carry this entire organization on his shoulders. They do nothing to help him. They bring in no talent. And with what they have, they don't even send guys down and bring guys up. You have people that haven't had a hit in weeks, and they're still there on the roster. Like, this is a team that's going somewhere, or they're the future that this team is building toward, which is nowhere even close. What comes out of that bullpen, Yohan, Ramirez, Moretta, Nicholas, these guys are terrible. They don't belong anywhere near a Major League Baseball roster, but there they are, paraded out there time and time again, in addition to this garbage that comes off the bench that are all hitting under 200. G1 Bay's back on this team.
Oh, I saw that.
He's not even hitting 160. Jack Sawinski was hitting in the 1-teens. This is what's there for the Pittsburgh Pirates right now.
Well,
it's
Dave,
an absolute disgrace that these younger players in the organization don't get promoted, and you've got a bunch of guys. They're one of the older teams in the league, and they're the last place team in the NL Central.
Well, Dave, yeah, you say a lot of these guys don't belong in a big league field. The Pirates are a major league team in name only. They're a quad A team.
Yeah.
Contraction. Baseball talked about contraction a few years ago, and they floated some teams out there. The Pirates, if it weren't for Skeens and it weren't for that ballpark, I think would be in consideration. I don't want that to happen, but that's just the case. And going into next year, Donnie will be back, and Ben Sherrington has to be gone. So have you looked at new GMs you want? I'm sure you've scoured the wires.
I would look for anyone that'll say, hey, here's a young, talented guy. Let's move him up to the next level and see what he can do there. I'll take that at this point.
Yeah.
I know, Sherrington's never won a trade. He's never had a good free agent sign. There's never been anything positive that's come from him. And drafting has been a hit or miss type thing. And once again, it's marred by promotion and development of the people that are drafted. They look like studs when they get picked, and then they stall somewhere in the minors, whether he buries them when they're having a career year or they just aren't able to produce anything. You don't see any productivity that comes from them. You're not going to win a trade. He'll never win a trade. He thinks a 28-year-old is a youth movement, and he's going to go and he's going to surprise everybody. Like, they were, for some reason, misjudged for 6 years in the minors, that if he was a GM, he'd have had him up earlier, and they'd be a star right now in Major League Baseball. And it's worked out for none of them. None of these guys that have been called up or traded for, nothing has worked out to this point. Nothing. In all the years, 5 years, none of them have worked out. No free agent has come in and set the world on fire. It's been an absolute mess. It's a dumpster fire that was created by Ben Sherrington. He hired the analytic Derek Shelton. Just a mess from the beginning. And in the end, the Pirates get what they deserve. They get what they pay for. And the best thing that could happen to this team is that the city of Pittsburgh makes a deal with Major League Baseball, allows Bob Nutting to move this team elsewhere. They keep the naming rights, because an expansion team at this point would be better than this garbage that they put out there on the field time and time again. If only they could find a way to somehow keep Paul Skeens in the city and move everybody else out. The Savannah Bananas drew more people in 2 days than what the Pittsburgh Pirates did in probably 2 months.
Yeah,
that's
well,
a shame.
You'd miss them if they left. Come on, you a lot of material. I guess we'd still follow them, but
I would follow wherever he took this team. I would follow it.
Montreal.
That'd be great. The Montreal's
Quebec.
trying to get the Rays. So.
That's right. Well, Tampa doesn't want them, so yeah, it's a shame. But we saw this coming, Dave. This isn't a surprise that they're this bad.
No, a lot of concern from the Penguins as well. Apparently, the agent for Sidney Crosby has been talking about the fact that maybe it'll be better for Sid right now to finish his career elsewhere. He's not going to say it if Sid's not saying it. Sid will never say it publicly, but I think everyone just assumed, well, Crosby's still going to be around. It's kind of like Tom Brady. Like, you look at him, he's old, but he doesn't look old, doesn't play old. Oh, he's got another maybe 10 years in him. And maybe he does, but will those years be in Pittsburgh? That's the biggest concern right now. I can't imagine Sidney Crosby wearing another uniform. But you're seeing stagnation from the Penguins. They're not rebuilding. They should have been rebuilding a couple of years ago. They're not. They're keeping old guys. They don't win. They don't make the playoffs. They're slow. Will a new coach help that? Maybe. but will he be able to instill his philosophy on a bunch of veterans, because that's what you still have. I don't see a space on the roster for a young guy to play unless they make moves, and we still can't even get official word that the sale happened to the Hoffman family. So this is not going to be a good start to the season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They go to camp, I believe, next week, and here we are with all of these uncertainties. So just kind of wait and see. I still can't in my brain fathom Tom Brady in another or Sidney Crosby in another uniform, but I couldn't fathom Tom Brady in one either, and he ended up in Tampa Bay winning a Super Bowl there. So we'll wait and see what happens and transpires from all of this.
Well, winning is not the goal for the Penguins this year, right? You would admit they're not really even trying
but
to win.
Should be. They've got a ton of if they weren't trying to win, they'd bring young guys in and try to rebuild. They've got all these veterans. If you're going to have that many veterans on a team, you should be trying to win. They're not going to because they're not talented enough.
Well,
Jari's going to be in net still.
Yeah. Well, you want a good draft pick, and I think they know they're not going to win a playoff series, let alone a cup. So,
well, they had a good pick this past year. They had number 11, and they took a guy that was projected in the second round.
That's true.
Dubas needs to go too. It's not just. There's a lot of issue. I have issue with Kyle Dubas. I've had issue with him for 2 years. Once again, he traded for Carlson, he signed Graves, and he signed Jari, and those are probably the three biggest issues right now this team has. And he's refusing to trade these older guys. And what's left? What are you going to do with these guys? You're going to sit them and pay them and not play them? Like, you're not going to do that. So you're stuck in a situation where you're not going to get younger and you're not going to get better. So you're going to be marred. It's not even mediocrity. They're going to miss the playoffs again if they go into camp with this current roster that they've assembled. College football, not a lot of excitement outside of West Virginia getting beat by Ohio. I can't imagine.
You like that?
Well, I didn't like it. I hate the fact that these teams play nobodies in the first weeks. I do kind of like when one of those teams beats them.
Well, Dave, isn't West Virginia kind of a nobody nationally? I mean, we wouldn't talk about them if we didn't live right here.
Well, they're still in the Big 12.
I guess, but they're not. Come on.
I mean, shouldn't you have something a little bit better that you can produce if you're in the Big 12?
They're not any threat to make the college football playoff.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
Just like Penn State's no threat to win it.
Well,
West Virginia's no threat to make it.
Yeah, Pitt's not getting there either.
Pitt's not getting there either, but we have the backyard brawl.
Oh, exciting.
Are you going to that?
Absolutely. No, I may not even watch it.
I think it's going to be bad football. I wouldn't be shocked if West Virginia beats Pitt. Because everybody's kind of riding Pitt like, oh, yeah, they won 2. Yeah, who'd they play?
Oh, after you lose to Ohio, it's the only way it goes up.
That's it. You can't get possibly any worse than that. Penn State doing their tour of Pennsylvania as well. They got Villanova this week.
Oh, Villanova. Good basketball school.
Can they cover the spread? Because they haven't covered one yet. Is it possible?
Not even against Nevada?
No, it was 43.5 against Nevada. They didn't cover that.
And then whoever they played last week, I didn't watch that. Yeah,
I don't even see a spread. They haven't listed it. It's probably like 70. It's probably something that nobody's going to. They won't even put it out there because everybody's going to take the underdog.
Yeah, there's some bad games. I mean, college football, they have about 1-2 good games a week. A&M, Notre Dame, that's a good one. But yeah, a lot of.
Yeah, outside of the first week,
Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, LSU. It's a good rivalry game, but not a lot of great matchups.
No, Georgia, Tennessee should be a good. But Georgia, I know they're 2-0, but they probably should have tried to figure out how to keep Carson back. They wanted to move on from him, and the offense looks a whole lot worse without him in there. But yeah, Texas plays UTEP. We see
Arch.
Arch had he still had an interception last week.
Bounced
looked
back
a little bit better
against San Jose State. He actually looked like he played football before, unlike at the shoe against Ohio State.
Exactly.
So Arch will be better. Yeah.
Miami, South Florida.
Oh, South Florida beat Florida. Good for them.
They did beat Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of hype on Florida and DJ Langway, and this is going to be. Now here's Florida 1-1 and playing LSU. And Garrett Nussmeier didn't have the greatest of games last week either. So a lot of these quarterbacks that are projected, I heard Drew Aller was getting booed at Penn State for decisions that were being made. Notre Dame, Texas A&M looks like the game of the week.
That's a good one. Notre Dame
should be a good one.
Tough games early.
Yeah.
Your favorite school.
They get to pick who they play all year, so that gives them some ease in the schedule to play who they want when they want. But I will give them credit. They're playing ranked teams. That's more than I can say for Penn State, Pitt, and a lot of these other schools that have gone out there against nobodies for the first few weeks or whatever to rack up an undefeated record before they get into conference play and disappoint. So, yeah, I'll give Notre Dame credit. Well, they're in conference play right now, the conference of Notre Dame and NBC. But outside of that, that's your college football look ahead for this week. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm sure the guys are going to be checking back in, so we'll be headed back to Story Square at some point. It's the final appearance for WMBS at Story Square, the final day of the concert series, fittingly on September 11th, one of the most tragic days in the history of our country. Honoring that, they have I think the military band down there playing as well. So we'll check in with the guys, and when we come back, it's all NFL. We'll look at the week that was, the week that's coming, make some more picks. We will be on it for the NFL when we get back here. Don't go away. Hi, this is Dave Dunaway, and I'm here to remind you that Franco's Golf Center is open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by and see Franco's facility on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Franco's service area includes a lighted driving range and golf pro shop. Even my game has improved thanks to golf lessons with Franco's PGA instructors. Franco's also offers full custom club fitting and repairs by certified club fitter Greg Franco. Franco's is open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Give Franco's a call at 724-438-6655.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991 for the fine art of dentistry.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. Well, the guys haven't called in yet. I was throwing that because I was throwing it to them, kind of. So we'll wait. I'm sure they'll call in here shortly, and then we'll throw it out to them at Story Square. But until they do, we'll talk a little bit about last week in the National Football League. What a way to kick it off last Thursday night with Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott. What a way to make the NFL look classy in week one. So Carter gets tossed. That counts as his suspension because he didn't play at all outside of one play. So there will be no further discipline outside of the fine that he was given this week. But Philadelphia and Dallas gave him a game. Then it went to a weather delay. They came back. Nobody really did anything after that. But a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of a shock. I mean, Nick and I kind of wrote off Dallas as maybe one of the worst teams in football this year. They do have an offense. Not that George Pickens contributed all that much, but CeeDee Lamb and Lamb dropped a ball that probably would have won the game for them. Philadelphia looked impressive early, running behind both Barkley and Hurts. Hurts spreading the ball around a little bit. I think both offenses, Javonte Williams looks like he may have found a home in Dallas, but in the end, Philadelphia wins. They don't cover, but they end up winning. I don't know, Nick. We thought odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl next year. Did they look like a Super Bowl contender against Dallas?
Wasn't their best outing, but they still have Barkley, Hurts, Brown, Smith, Goddard. They have weapons everywhere, but Dallas, I think, does win that game if Lamb grabs that ball. And Dallas has an offense. NFC East, I think the Commanders are still good. Giants might be frisky if they ever play Jackson Dart. So it's not going to be as easy for the Eagles this year, but they're still really good, Dave.
Then we go to Brazil on Friday night, and maybe a huge upset, Kansas City losing to the Chargers. Everyone's thinking that the Chargers are sort of, the next in line. This is kind of the passing in the torch that Jim Harbaugh is going to have this team contending, and maybe the Chiefs' run has come to an end and the Chargers is getting ready to begin. Justin Herbert, we talked about the running game for the Chargers, Hampton and Harris, and they didn't do much of anything. It was Herbert throwing the ball around over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Takes away, Mahomes and Hollywood Brown and a lot of the stars there. Of course, Travis Kelce injuring Xavier Worthy. But in the end, Herbert overtakes Mahomes. The Chargers are 1-0. The Chiefs are 0-1.
Yeah, looking to avoid their first 0-2 start in over a decade, and they have the Eagles at home. Not going to be easy. Chiefs, I think they're worn out. They've played so many games over the last few years, and the Chargers, led by Herbert, who was awesome in Brazil. That's a very entertaining division, the AFC West.
We talk about prospective division winners almost losing. How about Tampa having to come from behind to beat the Falcons, and then Cincinnati almost unable to hold on against Cleveland. Cincinnati 17 points against the Browns. Joe Flacco outperforms Joe Burrow. I mean, that's almost impossible. And thanks to a late surge by Baker Mayfield, the Buccaneers are able to come back and overtake Michael Penix and the Falcons, who throughout that game lost Drake London. Bijan Robinson had 100 yards receiving, not even close to that on the ground. It's shaky in the first week. I would have thought the Buccaneers and Falcons might be close. Would have never suspected Cincinnati would win by 1 point against Cleveland, although they usually lose in the first week.
Yeah, the Bengals are an awful week one team, and the Browns, I don't know what they're doing with Flacco. I think Shadur will start eventually. I think it's the Ravens division still to lose there, Dave.
Danny Dimes, the most talked about quarterback of the week. That'd be Daniel Jones, the cast-off from the New York Giants. The Indianapolis Colts ride him to a 33-8 victory over Miami. I would have never thought Miami was going to be that bad. But Daniel Jones, 272 yards through the air. There was a Michael Pittman signing. He had 5 catches and a touchdown. We didn't see much of him at all last year. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you start looking at these guys that were non-existent last year. Looks a lot more like the same here. I guess the IT Tech head coach couldn't find it in the analytics to figure out a way to beat the Colts.
I was going to say, Dave, is your laptop on the fritz? Mike McDaniel will look at it now because he's not going to be a football coach very long. The Dolphins are a mess.
I can't imagine he's there very long. The New England Patriots, another team everyone thought was destined for the playoffs. They hit a wall in week 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now they're not expecting that to happen. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers gets hurt, has a good game and then ends up getting hurt. Genty gets a touchdown, but really struggles to pick up yards on the ground. New England has a good defense and a decent offense, but I don't think we saw the showcase we were expecting. The Raiders hold on to beat them, and another closer than expected game. The Arizona Cardinals only win by 7 against a very game New Orleans Saints team.
Yeah.
Olave and Kamara are there. I don't think they're going to be horrendous, but I don't think they're going to win many games either.
No, the Saints are frisky. They have weapons, but not a great quarterback situation. And how about the Raiders? How about Pete Carroll? Gotta love him. He's great. I was happy for him.
He finds a way to win.
Yeah.
The Washington Commanders, 21-6 over the Giants. You start to ask questions like, will Jackson Dart be in the second quarter this week? Russell Wilson looked awful. The rest of the offense looked anemic. There's only so much Malik Neighbors is going to take there. Got to figure out a way to somehow light a fuse in this offense. It needs to be Jackson Dart in there sometime this week.
Flip Russell Wilson over, Dave. He's done on this side. It's over for old Russ. And the Giants, yeah, they need Dart in there. And the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, I think poised for another big year. Can't wait for that game tonight.
How about Krosky Merritt coming in when Eckler goes down?
Yeah.
82 yards on the ground, only 10 carries, a touchdown. They might have found their running back of the future.
Maybe.
Well, Jacksonville beats Carolina. Somebody had to win that game. It just happened to be the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence doesn't throw for 200. Big surprise there. Does have a touchdown, but the most picked up guy in fantasy football this week, Etienne, with 143 yards on the ground.
Yeah, they have weapons. Etienne, Hunter, he's going to be on defense a little more this week. So, yeah, and Bryce Young, still bad. Breaking news.
Sean Payton might be coach of the year because Bo Nix may have had one of the worst games I've ever seen as a quarterback, and the Broncos still won by 8 over Tennessee.
Wow.
And first overall pick Cam Ward. I think the Titans will be decent eventually, but it's going to take a while. I can't imagine Nix playing worse than this, and they're 1-0.
Yeah, it was not a aesthetically pleasing game from what I saw, but Ward looked somewhat comfortable. Doesn't have a lot to work with, and Denver, I think, will be good, but not a great game for Bo Nix.
We mentioned San Francisco's issues with Purdy and Kittle and Jennings all potentially not playing. They played at least some this past week against Seattle, Pittsburgh's opponent. They end up winning 17-13, thanks largely in part to Christian McCaffrey and what he was able to accomplish on the ground. But with Mac Jones at the helm next week, it could be really, really rough. Then we get into some good games. So we got the Packers 27-13 over the Lions. I know a lot of people expected the Packers to win this. I picked the Lions. I didn't think it would be this big of a blowout. I thought Jordan Love looked good. Jacobs looked good on the ground. Gordon's there now in addition to Reed at receiver. The Packers are starting to get the weapons they need to contend. And, of course, everyone talking about Micah Parsons and the big sack.
Green Bay is elite. I think they win tonight. They're going to be really, really good. And Detroit, they missed Ben Johnson. At least they did week 1. They were awful in the Hall of Fame game, awful week 1. I think Dan Campbell may be missing his coordinators more than we thought.
We thought the Texans were a shoo-in to win the AFC South, but 9 points against the Rams, who aren't exactly a juggernaut, with Matt Stafford playing for the first time all year because of injury. Not exactly what people were expecting to see. The Rams win 14-9. Stafford has a touchdown through the air. Kyron Williams won on the ground. Puka had 130-some yards receiving. I don't think Tutu had that many. But the Rams do end up winning. What's that say about Houston? They have all these weapons, but yet only scored 9 points. Is C.J. Stroud really an elite quarterback on an elite team?
I don't know. I think he's on that second tier, and they were on the road, and that was a really ugly game. Didn't really learn much about either team. We'll see.
The Buffalo Bills score 22 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to overtake the Baltimore Ravens 41-40. This may be the shocker of the week. A lot of people went to bed assuming that Baltimore was going to win. Baltimore puts up 40 points and still loses. I mean, the only excitement we saw out of Lamar Jackson late in the game was him fighting with the fans. Outside of that, Buffalo and Josh Allen find a way to come back and win. Allen throws for almost 400 yards. Derrick Henry rushes for almost 200. The stars came out. They scored points. But is this sort of a knockout blow for Baltimore? Can they overcome this? Because this was a sure bet win.
Well, they blow a lot of late leads. They have to clean that up. And Henry, if he doesn't lose the fumble, they win. But just devastating for Baltimore. But, Mahomes and Herbert may be better, or Burrow, but nothing's more entertaining than Lamar against Allen. Buffalo against Baltimore. It's so fun to watch. I could watch it every week.
And two huge debuts in Monday Night Football. Ben Johnson is the head coach for the Chicago Bears, and J.J. McCarthy finally is the starting quarterback for Minnesota. Once again, looked like the Chicago Bears had this game in hand. 21 points in the fourth quarter, largely orchestrated by McCarthy, a couple through the air. I'll give him credit. He was able to overcome a lot. It's his first real game playing Monday Night Football against an offensive genius. And for whatever reason, Caleb Williams just could not finish off the Minnesota Vikings. I think a bad loss for the Bears, but a great win for Minnesota.
Well, the turnaround from the first half to the second half by J.J. McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell is great, and they have weapons. I mean, my gosh, they have Hawkinson, Thielen, Jefferson, Addison when he comes back. The Vikings are good. Aaron Jones.
Mason.
Loaded, yeah.
I loved how they said they brought Jordan Mason in to rush for the hard yards because of how many carries Aaron Jones had last year, and they're trying to save him a little bit. So we'll see. The Bears have a lot of talent, a lot of weapons, but just couldn't get the job done. Very impressed by what I saw out of J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. I told you, he could either be great or he could be horrible. It looked like early on he was going to be horrible, and then he turned great. So should be fun to watch as the season goes on. All right, it is time for our picks of the week. We're going to start. Well, we already picked the Steeler game. Nick and I both went with Pittsburgh. So did everybody else except Brian, who took Seattle. Let's look at tonight. We've got the Green Bay Packers at home hosting the Washington Commanders. A great Thursday night game that if you have a streaming service, you can watch. The Packers are favored by 3.5.
And I think they win by a touchdown. Green Bay wins it, Dave.
I also picked the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to go through everybody's for all of the picks. I don't want to spoil that for people waiting to find out on Facebook. But I took the Packers as well. I didn't take them last week. I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I agree, Nick. I think they are elite.
Yeah.
Our Sunday games, we already did the Steelers because that's prime time at 1 o'clock. Also at 1 o'clock, we have the New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh.
2 0-1 teams going against each other. The Miami Dolphins actually favored in this game by 1.5 points.
This could be a really bad year for Miami. I think it's an average year for New England. Give me the Patriots on the road.
I don't think I'll ever pick Miami again after what I saw in week 1 against Daniel Jones. I'm going to go with New England in this one. I didn't have the Patriots last week. I had the Raiders. So hopefully I'm consistent here with these New England picks. The Cincinnati Bengals trying to figure out whether or not they can actually beat somebody convincingly. This week they're going to try Jacksonville, who I think is still one of the worst teams in football. The Bengals are favored by 3.5.
Yeah, this was a rough one. Give me the Bengals at home.
I'm going to take the Bengals. With 3.5, if it was a bigger spread, I might consider taking Jacksonville. But like you said, they're playing at home. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals at 3.5. The New York Football Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas favored by 5.5. Do we see Jackson Dart in this game? I guess that's the big question. And does George Pickens actually look like an elite receiver at some point this year?
I think eventually, before he mouths off to Dak or Schottenheimer or somebody on the staff, Jackson Dart, I think, will make an appearance in this game, and Dallas will win comfortably because that's a lot to ask on the road in your first game. So Dallas wins this one.
I think so as well. I think you don't see Dart probably until garbage time, but I think Brian Daboll, who's on the hottest of hot seats, knows that the offense has to do something to keep him employed.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors will blow up. So
Neighbors will blow up. I can only imagine. And you know Neighbors wants Dart's better than what they're getting out of Russell Wilson. So at some point, you've got to make that move. Bears at Lions. Lions favored by 6.5.
Yeah, Lions by 6.5. Big number there. Give me the Bears. I think the Lions may win, but that's a big number. I think Caleb bounces back, and I wasn't impressed by the Lions, so give me the Bears.
I wasn't impressed by either. Like I said, I expected more from the Bears. I thought the Lions, not that I thought the Lions would win that game, but I thought they would at least keep it close. Jamison Williams was invisible. Amon-Ra St. Brown, for the most part, was invisible. Yeah. You're not going to see the numbers. I mean, Goff put up those just ridiculous numbers last year. Not even going to be close to that. I still have hope the Bears are better than what we saw. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears with those 6.5 points. Rams at Titans. Rams are favored by 5.5.
Rams at Titans 5.5. Yeah, give me the Rams. Tennessee, Cam Ward, Young, Stafford, the grizzled veteran. Give me the Rams.
I'm taking the Rams too. I think Cam Ward will get better, but it's going to take a little while longer than I thought initially. I'm going to go with the Rams in that one. Here you go. Game of the week, Nick. 49ers at Saints.
Oh.
Somebody has to be favored. I guess it's the Niners by 3.5.
Mac Jones against Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler. I'm not paying much attention to the Saints. Oh, rough.
Kamara versus McCaffrey. Olave versus Pearsall.
Give me the Saints. Why not? Without Purdy and Kittle for the Niners.
I was so ready to take the Saints, and then I thought to myself, the 49ers they do have an elite defense, a legit elite defense. So I'm going to go with defense winning this game for the 49ers. I'm taking the Niners. Bills at Jets. A lot of hype on the Jets now based on their performance against the Steelers. Bills favored by 6.5.
And they'll win by, I think, 10. Bills win.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills, too. I think it's going to be bigger than maybe even 10. Browns at Ravens. They played the Bengals close. Can they play Baltimore close? I mean, we saw George Pickens fighting with fans. Actually, they're in Baltimore, so I guess we don't have to worry about anything happening in Cleveland. The Ravens are favored by 11.5.
Yeah, that's a big number. The Ravens at home, I think they win, but a divisional game, that's a big number. Give me the Browns. I think the Ravens win by 10.
Buffalo scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. I don't think Cleveland scores 22 points in the whole game. I'm going to go with the Ravens in an annihilation because they're angry against the Cleveland Browns. 4:05. Denver Broncos at Indianapolis Colts. Denver favored by 1.5.
Yeah, give me the Colts. Danny Dimes again at home. Was not impressed with Bo Nix. I think maybe a 2-0 start for Daniel Jones and the Colts.
Oh, Nick riding that bandwagon. I'm going to go with Nick's boy, Bo Nix. I'm taking I'm going to take Sean Payton in this game.
Yeah.
Although I like Shane Steichen, I'm going to go with Sean Payton. I'm taking the Broncos.
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers at Arizona Cardinals.
Ugh.
Well, how'd the Cardinals get so lucky? They get the Saints and the Panthers in weeks 1 and 2.
Yeah, I give me Carolina. Why not?
Oh, I'm going to take the Cardinals.
Yeah,
I figured. 6.5. 4:25. Game of the week. Super Bowl rematch. Eagles at Chiefs.
Eagles are favored at Arrowhead. Could this be the end for the Chiefs?
Only by a point and a half.
Yeah, but looking to avoid their first 0-2 start in over a decade. I think the Chiefs find a way, eke out a great game. Chiefs win this one.
I am taking the Eagles. I'm going to continue to ride that. Sunday Night Football, Falcons at Vikings. Vikings favored by 3.5.
Yeah, this is fun. Penix versus McCarthy. I was really impressed by the Vikings. I'll take Atlanta, though. I think it's a 3-point game.
I'm going Vikings. I didn't take them last week. Monday Night Football, 2 games. Buccaneers at Texans. Texans favored somehow in this thing by 2.5.
Yeah, give me Baker. Baker, touchdown maker. Bucks on the road.
I'm taking Baker. In our final game, Chargers at Raiders. Chargers by 3.5.
Chargers win it, baby. Herbert looked phenomenal.
Chargers too. So we got a lot of similarities, so we'll see how this pans out. That is all the time we have, unfortunately, for this week's edition of The Sports Voice. We will have the results and our new picks for next week, next Thursday, 4:15 to 6. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Shopping for replacement windows in Fayette County? Metropolitan Window Company elevates your shopping experience.
John, Maggie, and Justin Schmutzer here from Metropolitan